All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty amazing story. We're talking about Saudi Arabia's history at the FIFA World Cup. It's this incredible saga of unforgettable goals, massive upsets, and this constant drive to just shock the world.
It's the classic question every underdog team asks themselves when they get to the biggest stage, right? How how do you make the entire planet stop what they're doing and pay attention to you?
Well, the answer is simple, but it's not easy. You beat the team that everyone thinks is going to win it all. You create one of those moments that people will be replaying for like generations. And yeah, that is exactly what Saudi Arabia did. But, to really get how they pulled that off, we've got to go back, way back, to where their story really began. Okay, so let's rewind the clock all the way back to 1994. The World Cup, it's in the United States, and for the very first time, the Green Falcons have arrived on the world stage. And listen, they weren't just happy to be there. No, they came to make a statement. And boy, did they ever make a statement. I mean, their journey starts with this really brave 2-1 loss to a powerhouse Netherlands team, a game where they actually scored the first goal. Then they get their first ever World Cup win against Morocco. But the big one, the decisive moment, was against Belgium. It was simple. Win and you're through. And guess what? They delivered.
And that victory, wow, it was sealed by a moment of just pure, unbelievable magic. This guy, Syed Al-Awaran, he picks up the ball deep, deep in his own half, and he just starts running. And he keeps running. It was way more than just a goal. It was like an announcement to the entire world. To this day, people still talk about it as one of the greatest World Cup goals of all time. And yeah, that's what sent them to the knockout rounds. Incredible.
So that amazing run took them all the way to the round of 16. And think about this. Even now, all these years later, that debut performance is still their best ever finish at a World Cup. Now, of course, moments like that don't just happen, right? They're created by legendary players. And over their 7 World Cup campaigns, a few names have really, truly etched themselves into Saudi football history. So, if you look at their all-time scoring chart, you see this kind of shared legacy at the very top. First, you've got the legend, Sami Al-Jaber. I mean, this guy was a symbol of longevity. He scored in 3 different World Cups. And then, right there next to him is the modern hero, Salim Al-Dawsari. He managed to match that record in just 2 tournaments, and he scored some of the most important goals his country has ever seen. And you absolutely can't talk about legends without mentioning the guardian between the sticks. Goalkeeper Mohamed Al Diaya. He holds the team record for the most World Cup appearances, 10 matches across 3 different tournaments. He was that calm, commanding presence at the back during that whole historic 94 run. So, you see, those heroes really set the standard. And for a new generation to even come close to that, they'd have to do something, well, something truly spectacular. So let's fast forward 28 years. The stage is set. Qatar 2022. And that giant slang spirit of 1994, it was about to be reborn. I mean, just take a look at the group they were in. On paper, this was a massive, monumental task. You've got Lionel Messi's Argentina, Robert Lewandowski's Poland, and a Mexico team that's always tough. Let's be honest, almost nobody gave them a chance. So the game starts, and sure enough, Argentina goes up 1-0 early on a Messi penalty. It feels like, okay, the story's writing itself, we know how this goes. But then, the unthinkable happened. First, Saleh Al-Shari pulls one back with just a brilliant, precise finish. And then, only minutes later, Salem Al-Dawsari scores an absolute screamer to seal a historic 2-1 comeback win. Just, wow. Look, this wasn't just a win. This was one of the single biggest upsets in the entire history of the World Cup. I mean, they had just beaten the team that would go on to lift the trophy. The world was officially, completely shocked again. So you have to ask, how in the world did this happen? Well, a huge piece of that puzzle is the man on the sideline, the master tactician who engineered the whole thing. This guy, Hervé Renard, he has one of the most unique coaching resumes in all of world football. Get this, he's the only coach to ever win the Africa Cup of Nations with 2 different countries. He took Morocco to the 2018 World Cup, and now, after masterminding that incredible win over Argentina, he's actually back to lead the Green Falcons into the 2026 tournament. And his style, it's like the perfect blueprint for causing a major tournament upset. Think about it. You're playing a team like Argentina, just overflowing with individual talent. Renard's meticulous organization means every single player knows their job inside and out. That kind of defensive discipline, it just frustrates star players. And his knack for getting the absolute most out of his guys gives them the belief and the tactical plan to not just sit back and defend, but to strike at the exact perfect moment.
And all of this, well, it brings our whole story full circle. Because for their 7th World Cup appearance, the Green Falcons are heading back to North America, the very same continent where this whole incredible journey kicked off 3 decades ago.
And no surprise, the challenge ahead is immense once again. They're slated to face 2-time world champions Uruguay, European giant Spain, and a really talented Cape Verde team, all on American soil. Let's just say the path out of that group is anything but a walk in the park. So this leaves us with one final and I think fascinating question. We know they can produce magic. We know they can slay giants. The question is, now, 32 years after they first announced themselves to the world in the USA, are the Green Falcons ready to write the sequel? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.